I'm Bibiana Badenes. Thank you very much for joining for today to my presentation. And my presentation, it's a little bit the story of my personal and my professional life and how I have developed this program. So it's really a story of my personal professional part. I'm from Spain, so English is not my mother language, so I'll do my best. So I'm gonna present a PowerPoint presentation where I'll be talking and drive you through all this journey that I went through and how I ended up working, how I'm working today in the concept of somatic, more than just doing exercise and so on. And at the end, I would like that we create like a mini groups and we will be able to share something. And then we will finish together doing like one or two exercise for like kind of getting us even more together. So I'm not the only one who is talking tonight. Okay, so I'm gonna share my computer with you. Okay, so my presentation today is about somatic movement awareness in burnout and stress management programs. How did I start working? Not working professionally, but how did I start working with this program? My background is as a physiotherapist. And then soon when I was young, I was suffering of back pain. I was not happy with my body. I was not understanding why being a physiotherapist, I have such a back pain. I have scoliosis. I was a swimmer. So I was a little confused. So I received the Rolfing series, Rolfing Structural Integration. And that was a beginning of a change. As a professionally speaking, but also personally. I received it when I was quite young, when I was 22, 23. And that was something that I will come back to that later on. So I started working in social security, which is the public hospitals, and then I realized that I wanted to study Rolfing. So I left my fixed job, my kind of stable job, and I went into the journey of opening up a Rolfing practice. And I was so happy. I was really happy working one by one with the people, having the time. And in the year 98, I have the possibility, they offer me to run a program, a residential program with rheumatic patients, rheumatoid arthritis patients from Sweden, coming to Benicassin, where I live, and coming to Benicassin and having their rehabilitation physiotherapy program here where I live. So that was a dream come true because I had the possibility to have groups of people for 4 weeks in a residential program and do like all what I wanted to do with them related to their rehabilitation. Meanwhile, I received an invitation because there was a psychologist that he heard from, also from Sweden, that he heard from my work, working with the rheumatoid arthritis patients. And he came to visit me, and he said, well, I'm starting to develop a residential program with burnout and stress management, people that have stress. That was about the year 2003. I was already working with rheumatoid patients for 5 years. So I say, yes, I would like to do it. So that was our beginning. The clients were coming. It was really a psychological program, and I was just invited to do some kind of massage, kind of work in these kind of retreat programs in our hometown. So my part, when I started, it was more as a physical intervention. I was already a rolfer, but I was not with the rheumatoid patients. I was not doing rolfing, but my vision as a rolfer made me to understood many of the things that I'm going to share with you. So, but they hired me, they didn't understand about rolfing, that my holistic kind of approach to the patients. So the psychologists, they hired me more as a physio, and my work was more as a physical intervention with them. So it was kind of clients passive receiving. And we were doing mostly massage or manual therapy, hydrotherapy, and exercise, aquatic exercise. And then we were focusing on doing movement exercise. So that was clear. It was working well. People were happy. I was happy. But one day it happened that the group, the psychologists arrived later. They could not start with them. And they say, Bibiana, could you start with them, with your part, the physical part? And I say, yes, because usually he was doing the groups. It was a systemic kind of work. And then after that, at the end of the residential program, I was giving them the massage and the exercise, mostly when they were kind of more physical or more kind of rest after being on the beach and so on. So I was not really paying attention, really. I was not really interested to start working with them because most of them, they really arrived and they were not in a good condition. So what I realized when I started working with them, with that specific group, that was before they were having any psychological kind of treatment or clinical sessions, that most of them, they were having many of the problems that my rheumatoid arthritis patients, they were having. They were having pain, neck sore muscles, back pain, poor quality of sleeping, irritability, lack of concentration, even digestion problems. So when I started working with them, the psychologist told me, at the end of the program, when we were having the feedback from them, the psychologist told me, this group has been very different from the others because they were much more open for the conversations. They were much more open for the for the psychological sessions, for the psychotherapy. They were much more open for understanding their own process. And do you think that had something to do with what you did with them? And I was not sure. That was kind of almost 20 years ago. And I knew, because of my rolfing approach, that was true. But I didn't do really rolfing with them. I was really doing just very physical intervention, very passive, doing exercise. And then we start working this way, right away, bringing the people and working with the body. So for me, it was a shift in terms of a paradigm of working with them. And then I say to myself, I need to work and bring more awareness to them. We need to become more like a team. We need to do something different that I was doing till now. So I had the privilege to have a group again of people in a residential program, and not as a Rolfing session, coming one by one and leaving and going back to their houses. It was again a dream come true. And I said, well, the treatment should be part of the learning process. And we should get also education they should get more education of what they have and why they have it. So I made them to get more motivated on being more active and have more implication in their own process. And then some of the people were a little like, but I have pain here and I have this stomach ache and that might have neck rigidity. So what does this have to do with my burnout? That's something different. I have had this for 10 years. So that was really something interesting. And I told them, many of the symptoms that you are having now, you have had it for years and you didn't know that it was already creating your burnt out. So I really wanted to work more with them, and I start really exploring, and I start really going into how do you move, what movement means to you, how do you connect to yourself. Because we are working with small groups, we usually work between 8 and 15 people maximum. Preferably, we have groups of 8. That was something that I really have the time to work with them and get to know them in a kind of in a physical way, approaching more from the movement perspective, not from the sports. Because many of them, they wanted to do fitness. They wanted to come back what we were doing. And I realized that that was not the way. So there was nothing wrong to do fitness, but that was also something that I realized with burnout people, that many of them, they were overusing their body. It was also the exercise. It was a way of escape to being really present. So they were doing exercise, many of them even a lot of exercise, or there were people that they were not doing exercise at all. So we have these two kind of clients. So, but none of them at that time were really interested in going really into the body from a listening point of view. So I have to start working also in a different way. So the movement explorations that we were doing were an invitation to go inside. Because if we started only with mindfulness or with meditation without working the body, we tried to do it, it did not work. So the body as an exploration, the body as a way to explore yourself. That was my kind of mantra to start. So I started working with them progressively. It was not something that it happened from one day to another. It was also my own understanding, my own way of treating patients, my own way of personal development, that I realized that I wanted really to bring that and share that with them. So the program that we are doing, it's with a Swedish company that is called Hagaliv Center. And the program is really to discover your own personal path to health, of improvement. So one of the things that I always have shared with them is that if we only work with the symptoms, we will not be able to understand. And so the explanation of understanding your pain, why many people have common symptoms, but they arrive to you from very different channels and very different kind of way of being in your own body and in your own life. So I realized that the moment that we start working daily with the somatic awareness and with the consciousness of the movement of your breath, of your self-exploration, something was deeply linked with the conversation that they have with the psychologist. So this is how we are working now. I have the possibility to work with a group, and I also have realized that working with proprioception, interoception, bringing those concepts to them, it has really also changed their kind of sensing of feeling guilty for having the symptoms or having not been able to succeed, because many of them, they've been having many of these kind of problems for years. So when I see that there is a lack of proprioception, we work more with proprioception. When I see that there is a lack of interoception, I work with more interoception. And I have realized that people with burnout and that the starting of depression, that it happens when you are overstressed through the years, that they need to go more into interoception. So I kept the 3 areas related to the body that we were working as when I was really working as a physiotherapy. So it's massage or touch. I like to say more touch, movement, and aquatic therapy. But it was very different, the way we are approaching. We are approaching in a way that touch, it's really for them to understand the tensions, to understand the connections. So we use breath, we kind of educate the person where they are receiving touch, which I think that is a key point for restoration, and it's a beginning for them to be able to go more deeper, but also at the same time being able to feel balance. I also use a lot the water therapy. Have developed my own way of working. It doesn't come from Watsu. Some people say if I practice Watsu, but I'm not a Watsu practitioner. But I have been putting people floating for many years. And then I realized that the people that they have stress problems, when you bring them into a more kind of visceral way, or a kind of more connected with the visceral part, they are more able to listening what's happening and more able to understand. So the floating is also something very appreciated. It's something that we realize that it's very needed to get more in contact with your own senses, I would say. So we do touch, we do the water floating, and also we do movement education individually as a learning process and as a group. We do outdoor beach exercise, but also we do a lot of kind of movement awareness and mindful walking and explorations on the space. Well, what's the meaning of the space? What's your relationship to nature? And how do you feel your breath? How is your breath cut when related to your thoughts, to your body tensions? So I'm taking this from Paul Linder. So the question that they are also bringing daily to their practice is, what do I do in my body? When I move my arm, or when I feel irritated, either from an emotional point of view or a movement, what is your body doing? So this is something that they are exploring. We have the limitations of time of the program, but I think that is a kind of a big introduction to going safely to the body and start to relate it to the symptoms and to relate it to the personal history and how they have arrived to where they are right now. So we always start with relaxation also, because I think that relaxation is really a key point. Relaxation is not to be collapsed. Relaxation, some people are very afraid because they think that relaxation is to be collapsed, and because they are quite controllers. To lose control, it's something that some people will not tolerate. People that they are burnt out, they are usually controlling a lot. So when people understand that relaxation is to be ready for, in a mindful way, and in a way that muscles are ready. Am I ready to run? Am I ready to stop? So be ready for, they start enjoying their bodies in a very different way. So we use diaphragmatic breathing, we use awareness. I use very different techniques for self-exploration of their own breath. I sometimes put, as you can see, weights in the belly, weights in different body parts to start understanding without doing, the somatic part of not doing, of just sensing the moment present. So I realized when they were asking me, so what was the difference, Bibiana, when you start working with the stretch management programs and now? And I say, it's awareness. It's the capacity of people to be able to feel and to understand. Without that, there are many programs that I realize that they do a setting of exercise, any discipline. They do their meditation, they do a nice healthy food, nice kind of entertainment, but they don't get really connected with their own bodies. And I think that starting to relate it, that's what I said that is the key point from my part of the work with this program. They also have time to be alone, to really understand how their movement patterns are related also to some of the thoughts, and how really you can release some of the thoughts just by releasing some of your body tensions. That's something very powerful for people that they've been with a lot of stress and trauma, as you may know. So one thing that I found so interesting is that I went from being a therapist, educator, a coach, and we kind of become a team. It's what we're doing together, what we want to reach together. And also, at the end, we become facilitators. There is this moment that the person knows, okay, now I have the power, now I understand, now I have choices. And it depends on you. We just facilitate it. We also do a kind of a coaching part where they will have to write down or make themselves the commitment. So what you're gonna do kind of daily, what kind of practice will you do daily, of how will you keep up by doing it, and specific things that we do it together. So they want to get what is the best exercise for me, or the best practice, or how can I integrate that into my daily life? How can I integrate that in my yoga class? So we do this personal kind of interview, so what they can really get also individually. And all of a sudden, people realize that it's hard to say sometimes, but that the symptoms can continue, but you have to start dealing with your whole kind of responsibility, not the responsibility as feeling guilty, but what are you going to do to keep up and progressing? So this kind of 18 years of working ended up as we wrote this book together with Frederick Benson, which is the psychologist, and myself. So that's the book that we wrote together, and it's the summary of how we start with the program, how we progress with the program, and also some testimonials from people that they were working with us. And this is something very important for me, that find a way to create vitality, equilibrium, and well-being. How to do it. It's a thing that is part of an art. It's not only something that we do as professionals only, it's also an art that we all have to discover personally. And I also tell them that when you recognize that your body is the home of your awareness and your own experiences, we naturally become more body mindful and desire to take good care of this precious vehicle. Okay, so how are you doing? How are we doing in terms of energy? Did I talk too much? Okay. So I like to go into many groups, and I'm going to, for everyone, maybe in 3 mini groups, and I will like you, for what you have seen, what will you bring if I will hire you as a therapist or as a professional? What will you include in this program? What do you think that you could add to that program with your experience, with your potential, with all your background? What will you do? You know, I just share a little bit of the program, but I think that it's a very open program that many of the somatic practitioners could be running already these programs. And I think that could be something really, really great. Okay, and then the second question, if you will have to teach one practice that a person will do it daily, because sometimes when people are telling me, what exercise should I do? And people, they want that recipe. They want something quick. They want something 2-3 minutes. They don't want a practice of sitting meditation for 1 hour and put them more stress on that. So we have to be realistic. And so what one practice that you will choose, okay, this is something that I'm going to give it to all my clients, and this is really in the context of a burnout program, okay? So you go into many groups and you can chat with that, and then I'll be very happy to hear and also to share with you. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So they're coming back in just a few seconds. Should have sent them a note saying I was going to do that in a sec, and now they're on their way. Here they start to come.
Bibiana, do you teach any online classes in this?
Excuse me?
Do you teach any online classes?
Who's this?
Oh, it's Julie.
Julie, we just want to finish with the group and I'll answer.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't realize people were coming back. Okay, sure.
Okay. Okay. So people are still coming back. So I like to hear something that you have shared with your mini groups. And so please feel free to open your microphone and come back to the stage.
Well, I guess I'll start then. How are you? I think the one thing that we were all quite surprised with, we started with the second question is what's the tool that we would bring? And we all felt that pranayama and breathing is something that is absolutely a lifeline, that it's a great place to start. So that was part of it. And then I can only speak for myself as far as a practitioner, as what I would bring to the team, or as what I like to call what is my superpower. My modality primarily is Traeger. Dr. Milton Traeger used movement, and that's a very big part of what I do. And being in the connective state with somebody from the subconscious level, that's really where the healing begins. When you connect at the subconscious level, and the mind and the body are starting to connect, and there's a triad that creates there, you, the client, and the universal force that you're pulling and everything comes together from. That's the magic of healing.
Thank you, Richard.
My pleasure.
Someone else would like to share something?
Yeah, can do. That's helpful. So yeah, I work on a burnout resilience project here in the UK with rebels, in Extinction Rebellion. And one of the things that's really been occurring to me, and I haven't done this yet, but I'm wondering, and I'm wondering about offering it here too, is this thing of like creating communities, so that it's not all coming through me, the person who's leading the somatic practice, but we actually encourage people to sort of like develop into like small groups so that they could, do you know what I mean? Like contact each other to do some of this, awareness raising, whatever it is, whatever practices, so that we can spread it more is what I'm talking about. Do you see what I mean? Because it feels like there's only a few people maybe doing this work. And, almost like a focusing paradigm where you kind of meet up and you do sort of 20 minutes of focusing. Maybe, do you see what I mean? Maybe that could be brought in.
I didn't get it all.
Okay. All right. It's okay.
No. Just Jenny, I want to summarize for me, please.
Summarize. Yeah. So you may have a group of people you're working with doing a burnout on burnout and this awareness raising and all these lovely practices you have going on. I love the stuff on the beach, by the way. And that actually within that, while you're working with people, you encourage them to form into smaller groups so that they can practice together without you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
can
They do.
continue to practice. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When
Okay.
they've left, do you see
Yeah.
what I mean? When they go home again, they can
Yeah.
rely on each
I
other.
didn't get that part, and that was the essential. Yes. The thing is that they do also a lot of interaction things. So they you know, it's only like 10 days, and I mean we are limited with my part, but I tell you that really the body makes a big difference. Many of these people, they have been already in some other kind of burnout programs and so on. So I think that the key point is to empower them to keep doing things by themselves and to start getting interaction also into the practices, knowing. That's why I ended up saying that my really role, it should be that I ended up being a facilitator more than really. So I have started develop with them also online classes of how to continue and how to be able to do also practices that they can do through the day, because I realized that if you give them a lot of things to do, people will burn out because they have so many things to do. Yeah. So how to start with pieces, small pieces that they really get really connected with their awareness, with the center. Wow. And they start understanding that just walking, like if you are walking and you are tightening your hand and you don't realize, you can be angry in 2 minutes if someone jumps to you and tells you something. So it's not that you are angry, it's that your body is creating already the responsiveness, the impulsivity. So those kind of associations, they're very important. So we really play with a lot of association, how when you create tension in your body, it's related to any of your emotional things that you already know or any of your behaviors and so on. So it's a lot of interaction that they really need to explore after they leave. As I said, it's really a beginning. And I don't have the possibility to do a continuing education group when they come back, but the group of the psychologists, they now saying that should be the next step for them, because most of the people they're doing already practicing things, yoga, tai chi, and so on, but they really need to have someone to guide into those body associations.
Okay. Yeah, nice one. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Anybody else want to share something? Pat?
Hi. Lisa and I discussed our clients in our different respective fields and felt that everyone wants to be heard. They come to you with something wanting solutions. So asking them to focus on what is their chief problem and how are they using their time around that focus. And we talked about some of the simple words that we hear here in semantics: to pause. I'm a Traeger practitioner. You learn to be in the pause, to go inside yourself, be quiet, focus, use the breath. And I think that people who are in burnout are so filled in their minds, very overactive minds, that we should probably have them break repetitive mental patterns and find out, have them be introspective, spend time by themselves, being quiet, so that they can figure that out. I'm sorry. So to pause, maybe they can get to the deepest stuff that they really want to address. That helps us, because I find it frustrating if they keep coming back with the same issues and they're not really gaining insight into it. and they're only giving you so much time to fix them.
Yeah.
And, they can't do that. So what else? Lisa at the end was saying, not trying, being restful, slowing down, get to the deepest stuff and find some happiness there, and then find out how best to take the direction that someone may offer them that they think would be a useful modality to follow. Did I forget anything, Lisa? Thanks. Okay.
That was good.
Okay.
Thanks, Pat. So, Elaine?
Yes, hello. I was in an awesome group, room 5, with Paul, Janine, and Margarita. Margarita offered an appreciation for just being a navigator, someone walking on the path with the client. So that walking with is something that we would like to stress. Also, Janine had this really lovely idea of experimentation, which I think goes along with Paul's idea of playfulness, playing and laughter, as well as I guess I wondered what it would be like to add a focus on voice, what it would be like to regain power. Paul, you mentioned the word power, you know, how do we reconnect with our power through voice? Because we've heard a lot of clients talk about, oh, I feel like I'm not heard. So what that would be like to have those experiments.
So this is great, because I want to share with you, and since Paul is here, I want to share with you that my work within these programs really changed when I met Paul. And I'm really doing all, I thought at the beginning that I was going to be able to do this within these programs, but I think that it has been really kind of just running easily when you are able to introduce in a playful way the kind of the somatic exercise, I don't like to explorations, to go, you know, in a playful way. With burnout people and depressions, if you go too serious, sometimes it's not something that is well received, because it's putting then another burden into their bodies. So going into the playful, you know, sense your body, go there, you know. So I almost have become myself like an actress when I'm with them, you know. I'm really playing different characters, so they could see that I can be handicapped, I can be tense, I can, you know, like making fun of the situations as a not big deal. I think that we need to go more into that playful way of understanding also movement, and not something that we do in movement, you know, 10 times. So they need to break up those patterns and so on. So thank you very much. I think that we almost about to finish. Just something quick, if someone wanna share.
Tell bad jokes. That's from Paul.
Okay. The thing is, I could do it with Spanish people, but if I do it in Swedish and in English, the translations and with cultural, they looking at me like, is she the therapist? So maybe I have to be careful with that.
I'll share one more thing. In the Traeger tribe world, it's something called mentastics. Milton Traeger called mental gymnastics, and just playing with the feeling of your own body, just exploring it in a playful way. And if you've ever been in a field of a Traeger conference where Traeger people are doing mentastics together, it looks like everybody's on an acid trip.
Yeah, I did myself a few courses with Traeger, and I really enjoyed it like 25 years ago. And part of my work in that playful comes from there too. So I really appreciate that part. So what is important, just wanted to finish today with the idea that all these stress and management programs that people are coming with burnout, they are just something that the way we are living, it's becoming more and more. And we have such a potential to bring new ways of understanding and to release and to balance our own kind of our own being present, which I think that that's the key point for that accelerated life that a lot of people are living. So thank you very much. And one of the things that I tell to all these burnout people, you don't need to breathe differently, just sense your breath. That's a key point for them. Several times a day, just get in silence, 30 seconds, and just sense your breath. And if you can touch one body part, your face, to activate the vagus nerve, your heart, relaxing your tummy. For some of them, that's just a key thing. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.